Hey kids, did you know that in math we can use pictures to represent an unknown? We use these pictures in something called a pictograph. Pictographs or pictographs use shapes, pictures, or objects to represent a number for the purpose of skip counting. We do this to find our information. This prevents us from always counting 1, 2, 3. I guess the question now is, what kind of data can I use in a pictograph? How do we determine what each picture represents? In order to do this, we use a key, and a key tells us what each picture represents, or the number that each picture stands for. So now you ask, how does this information help us solve problems? Let's take a look at one. Mr. Jones took a poll of his class to see what are the students' favorite colors. Let's see what the data shows. Below are the results of Mr. Jones' data. If we look at the key, we see that each one of the crayons represents 2 students. So if we look at red, blue, green, and purple, we can count the number of crayons and either skip count by 2s or multiply that number by 2. Okay, so let's use the key to interpret the data. What is Mr. Jones' class's favorite color? Well, we look at the crayon, and again we see that the key represents 2 students for each crayon, for red, purple, green, and blue. Let's see the numbers for each color. Using the data from the pictograph, I can determine that each crayon equals 2 students. If I skip count by 2, I can see how many students like each color. So based on our data, we see that we have 12 students who like red, 14 students who like blue, 11 students who like green, and 17 students who like purple. Now as you see, there are a few odd numbers here. If we get a half a crayon, we must count that as a single student. So using this pictograph and the key, I interpreted the data to figure out the information. 12 students like red, 14 blue, 11 green, and 17 like purple. I guess the big question now is, what does that all mean? So based on this info, I can tell which color is the favorite color in the class. I can tell the difference between the greatest and least favorite color in the class, and I can tell the total number of students in that class. So with this data, I can interpret a lot of information. Now let's try to use the skills that you've just learned and use the link below to answer a few questions on your own. Good luck, and as always, have a great time learning.